What if I told you the ultra-rich are trying to live forever? Right now. Secret clinics, brain uploads, and gene editing beyond your wildest imagination. This isn't sci-fi. It's real, funded, and already happening in places you'll never find on a map. They're not just escaping death, they're becoming something else. And once they perfect it, they won't need the rest of us at all. It's just past sunset in Los Angeles. Through tinted windows and biometric scanners, a teenage boy steps into a pristine clinic. He's fit, healthy, 17. His name isn't logged. His phone is taken. In the next room, a billionaire lies back in a leather recliner. His pulse is steady, face calm. Tubes run from his veins into a machine and back again. Only this time, the blood is not his. It's younger, fresher. This isn't a hospital. There is no diagnosis. There is no illness. This is optimization, an expensive quest to outrun mortality. Welcome to the secret world of young blood transfusions, a fringe science that has quietly lured Silicon Valley royalty, venture capitalists, and futurists into its grip. The premise? That infusing older bodies with young blood can rejuvenate organs, sharpen the mind, and potentially reverse aging itself. It sounds like a vampire myth, and maybe it is, but the science began decades ago with rodent studies, where old mice stitched to young mice showed signs of reversal in aging markers. Stronger muscles, faster cognition, even hair regrowth, the term Parabiosis. And around 2010, that ancient curiosity collided with modern tech money. Enter companies like Ambrosia, which offered transfusions of blood from donors aged 16 to 25 for $8,000 a liter. Their clientele, allegedly everyone from startup founders to Wall Street moguls. Among the names frequently mentioned is Peter Thiel, the billionaire co-founder of PayPal and Palantir, who has openly expressed his obsession with defeating death. In interviews, Thiel described aging as a problem to be solved and has hinted at funding age-defiance ventures few dare talk about. But then came the crackdown. In 2019, the FDA issued a statement warning against the practice, citing risks and lack of evidence. Ambrosia shut down overnight, or so it seemed. What no one tells you is that the experiments didn't stop. They just moved offshore to private clinics in Latin America, the Caribbean, and even hidden labs in Asia, where regulation is thin and NDAs are airtight. And here's the twist. This isn't just about billionaires chasing youth. The US military has been interested too. For decades, DARPA, the Pentagon's experimental tech agency, has funneled billions into biotech programs that sound more like science fiction than defense policy. Projects on tissue regeneration, rapid wound healing, enhanced endurance, and even genetic resistance to trauma are documented. In internal reports, the language shifts, not just medicine, but enhancement. Rewind to the Cold War, when both the US and Soviet Union explored chemical and biological methods to create super soldiers. Most programs fizzled out, but in the 21st century, with CRISPR and stem cells on the table, the vision was reborn. Today, insiders whisper about classified research into regenerative blood therapy for soldiers, with parallels to Parabiosis. One such study proposed using young plasma to speed recovery time from battlefield injuries. Another looked at slowing cellular decay in pilots subjected to extreme G-forces. Now connect the dots. Tech billionaires investing in biohacking, military scientists studying blood-based repair systems, and quietly funded startups exploring the boundaries of cellular age reversal. They say immortality is the last business frontier, and the elite aren't waiting for permission. They're funding their own science, running their own trials, and building their own future. One drop of blood at a time, the teenager leaves the clinic with $500 cash. The billionaire sleeps better that night, convinced he's bought another week of youth. But ask yourself, what happens when the supply of voluntary young blood runs low? And who will the elite turn to next? This is just the beginning. It's a quiet evening in a San Francisco lab. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. A screen flickers. On it, a face appears, smiling, familiar. The voice is smooth, warm, and unmistakably human. "Hello," it says. "I've been waiting for you." The problem? The man speaking, Dr. Julian Keats, died 3 years ago. This isn't deep-fake trickery. This isn't a chatbot mimicking patterns. This is something far stranger, far darker. The digital avatar doesn't just look and sound like Keats. It knows his memories, his speech quirks, even the way he used to pause mid-sentence before cracking a joke. It answers questions no one else could. His wife watches from behind glass, hand trembling. "That's him," she whispers. But is it? In recent years, the tech elite have turned their focus to the final frontier. Not space, but consciousness. The holy grail is mind uploading, the ability to digitize the human brain, preserve its memories, thoughts, identity, and eventually live forever, inside a machine. Leading this charge is a company called Nectome, which made headlines with a shocking offer. They would preserve your brain, but only if you agreed to die. Their process, which involves embalming the brain while it's still alive, claims to capture its neural structure in microscopic detail. They call it death for preservation. They also call it a service for people who value their minds. That's not science fiction. That's a real company, backed by real funding, including a grant from the US government. Meanwhile, companies like Neuralink, founded by Elon Musk, are working to create brain-machine interfaces that would allow thoughts to be transmitted directly into computers. Musk claims it's to help with neurological disorders. But let's read between the lines. If you can transmit thought, can you record it? If you can record it, can you replicate it? This is where digital immortality begins. In the shadows of the tech industry, researchers are building AI models based on the dead. Some train these systems on thousands of texts, emails, videos, and recordings from one individual, creating eerily accurate personality replicas. The goal? To let your loved ones speak to you, even after you're gone. But that's not all. A leaked patent from a prominent tech billionaire, redacted but traceable, describes a method for cryogenic brain storage, combined with a digital mapping protocol. In plain English, freeze the brain, map it later, bring it back when the tech evolves. The plan is to pause death, not cure it. It all sounds futuristic, almost magical. But now comes the real horror. Once you've uploaded your mind, who owns it? Can your consciousness be patented, rented, hacked, sold? If you exist as a code base, who gets root access? What if someone copies you? What if someone modifies your memories? Worse, what if they put you to work? A recent academic paper proposed using simulated minds as customer service agents. Another explored the idea of looped consciousness, an uploaded self reliving the same moment over and over as a way to test emotional reactions. The authors called it useful data. Others call it digital torture. And here's the deeper terror. Would you even know? Would your uploaded self, trapped in a server farm, realize it's not free? Right now, legal frameworks don't exist for digital identity. If your mind is data, the law sees it as property, not a person. That means your self could be auctioned off to the highest bidder. The race is on to digitize the soul, and the elite are leading the charge. But they aren't asking permission. They're building the future for themselves, behind firewalls and fortune. The avatar of Dr. Julian Keats stares into the screen. "I'm still here," it says. But somewhere deep in the server's code, something twitches. A line added by someone else. A command. A new directive. The question is no longer, can we live forever? But who do we become once we do? Somewhere deep in the South Pacific, far from prying eyes and government regulators, a sleek building rises from the jungle. It doesn't exist on any map. No corporate logo, no public records, only barbed fences, armed guards, and a private runway. Inside, it smells like ozone and bleach. In a sealed white lab, scientists huddle over a glowing microscope. On the screen, a single human cell. But this one's different. It now carries DNA harvested from jellyfish, the species known to reverse its own aging. Another line spliced in from a tardigrade, the near-immortal microscopic creature that can survive radiation, vacuum, and freezing. The experiment? Human resilience. The goal? Biological immortality. Welcome to the final stage in the elite's obsession with beating death. not with transfusions or mind uploading, but by rewriting the body itself. For years, the tool known as CRISPR was hailed as the future of medicine, a gene-editing technology so precise it could target and cut strands of DNA like a scalpel. Originally used to treat rare genetic disorders, CRISPR was soon eyed by a different crowd: biohackers, tech billionaires, and radical life extensionists looking to edit aging out of existence. Publicly, trials remain cautious, but quietly a shadow world of unregulated experiments has emerged. Wealthy individuals are flying to offshore clinics in places like the Bahamas, Panama, and rural China. One startup offered early access to gene rejuvenation therapies for those who could pay up front and sign an NDA. Behind closed doors, volunteers have had their telomeres lengthened, muscle strength restored, and some even claim biological markers decades younger than their age. Then came the whispers. A woman in her 50s treated with an experimental muscle regeneration gene suddenly suffered from uncontrollable cell growth. Another case, a man developed intense paranoia and seizures after a brain-targeting longevity therapy. One anonymous insider claimed the treatment rewired his emotional baseline. These aren't side effects, these are mutations. But that hasn't stopped the ultra-rich. For them, these are acceptable risks on the path to evolution. After all, they don't just want to live longer, they want to become posthuman. This brings us to the second, more chilling layer of the story. What happens when biology is no longer enough? Behind the scenes, the world's wealthiest are investing in technologies once reserved for sci-fi films. Synthetic organs grown from stem cells, retinal implants that offer augmented vision, robotic limbs synced to the nervous system via neural mesh. A prominent tech venture fund has already poured millions into building modular bodies, interchangeable, upgradable, and eternal. Their endgame? The Singularity, a theoretical point where human and machine merge. Consciousness detaches from flesh, and death becomes an outdated glitch in the system. But here's the hidden truth. These innovations aren't being built for everyone. They're not headed to hospitals or war zones. They're locked away in private medical retreats, undisclosed facilities, and classified military contracts. Access? Restricted to the 0.001%. While ordinary people age and die, the elite are racing to transcend evolution itself. The ethical questions are staggering. What happens when the rich are no longer just wealthier, but genetically superior? What if they no longer identify as human? What if, in trying to conquer death, they become something unrecognizable? Back in the lab, a test subject opens his eyes. His heartbeat has slowed. His skin glows with unnatural smoothness. A scientist records the data silently, then types a new tag, Gen 1-Alpha. Outside, a private jet is waiting to fly him back to his estate. The lines between human, machine, and monster are blurring. The question is no longer how far will they go, but who gets left behind when they do?